Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Murray, Marcotti, Burley and Hislop, keeping it professional there.
That's what I like.
Craig Burley.
None of this.
What do you expect? All right, we'll start with you then, Craig. Lovesh Rosario says, hypothetically, if all signings are completed, then which is the signing of the season? Harry Kane to City, or Lukaku to Chelsea, or Messi to PSG?
Well, Messi to PSG would be the headline, no?
Yeah.
Signing of the season, Messi to PSG.
Well, it's just by the very nature of it. But I quite like Lukaku to Chelsea because there's not an air of desperation at Chelsea, but they do really need a front man that could bang a few goals in, and that could be the difference if it happens.
Gab, Abu Dakia says, Gab, did you ever think that the football world would have gone into meltdown like it did while you were on vacation? We'll blame you, Gab.
Yeah, I think they all waited for me to go away, to hit the beach first and then the mountain second, leave Jules in charge, and then go out and pandemonium. But don't worry, I'll be back this weekend.
Yeah.
Let me just say though, Gab's been on holiday for a very long time. It has been the longest holiday in ESPN FC history. Because every chance is going to happen during Gab's holiday.
Just sounds like
Are you
isn't it?
moonlighting for HR here?
I know.
I'm just putting it out there, Gab.
Right,
just putting it out there.
You're the Hislop
Don't get involved in this, Craig.
Teacher's pet.
vacation specialist.
I know. Maybe he's feeling that tag's going to be taken from him.
Keep it moving, Murray. Keep
All
it
right.
moving.
Oh, well. Franklin Saint asks you, Shaka, a penalty has been awarded in the Champions League final for PSG. Who are you picking to take it between Messi, Mbappe, Ramos or Neymar, and why? We've seen fighting in the past
let me hear
between
that
the
list
PSG penalty takers. Messi, Mbappe, Ramos or Neymar, and why?
I go Ramos. Ramos has the best track record, especially in the bigger games from the penalty spot.
Actually, I'll get you all to weigh in
Wouldn't
on
it be
that.
ironic if Messi does end up at PSG?
And
Well, Neymar went there to be out the shadow of Messi.
but then missed him.
apparently.
But then missed him. Missed everything that they had at Barca afterwards.
Missed that rapport.
All right.
He'll really miss Messi getting all the headlines, won't he, when he does go there?
David Amayal asks, can you please ask Gab what he makes of big-name players leaving Serie A this summer? How concerned is he with the health of Serie A? Thank you.
This whole thing about the health of Serie A and so on, I feel like I've been hearing this for the last 10, 15 years. And I actually think things in Serie A are really improving. I'm less concerned by, look, if Lukaku leaves at age 28 for the kind of money that people talked about, I'm okay with it. I think right now I want Serie A to be well run. I want Serie A to have responsible owners who run it like a business, not the way it was run before. I want Serie A to be clean. I want all these things that weren't always taken for granted in the past. So I'm okay with that. If things are gonna, if it's gonna be a league that's gonna be more about young talent for a while you wait for the two great basket cases of Italian football, Milan and Inter, to come back to where they should be, and you wait for the new owners in Rome to do their thing, and you wait for Juve to sort themselves out. I'm all right with it. I would rather have solid footing, credibility, and excitement and attacking play, which is what we had last year in Serie A, than another supposed big name who's close to 30, hanging around. I'm fine with it.
Okay, to all of you, Sebastian Lennon asks, and I'll start with you, Craig. Is there any excitement in seeing a Barcelona team without Messi? Doesn't his absence also create the space for others to shine in a way they may not have with such a transcendent player like Messi?
I mean, at the end of the day, as great as he has been, no one person is bigger than a club or a league. And, whilst everything comes to an end. So yeah, I mean, it'll be strange, but clubs have to move on. And Messi is in the twilight of his career, so if it wasn't this season, it might have been the next or the one after. And yeah, it's an opportunity for others to come in and play well, and for younger players to come through. And we saw some of that recently with Ansu Fati, and we saw Pedri at the Euros, different type of player, but very talented youngster. So yeah, I mean, as great as he's been, Barcelona continues and La Liga continues, and people will still support them, and people will still watch it because they love their clubs.
Still looking forward to seeing them, Shaka?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, to Craig's point, some of the best players that the world has ever seen have all worn the Barcelona shirt at one time. Whether we're talking about Lionel Messi, Ronaldinho, Brazilian Ronaldo, Diego Maradona, and every time they move on, for whatever reason it may be, another star has emerged. Somebody else has come through. And that you expect will happen yet again. So now we've come to maybe a premature and unexpected end to Lionel Messi's time in the Barcelona shirt, but it's not the end of us seeing that kind of talent or world-class talent in a Barcelona shirt.
All right, I think you two have answered that well enough, so I'll move on to Dan, who says, Gab, Inter, Valencia or Barcelona, which has been the worst run club in the last 5 years?
Ooh. I'm kind of stuck here because I've got very strong feelings about Peter Lim and what he's done to Valencia. So I kind of feel that Valencia should take the crown here. Inter, I actually think, has been turned around in some ways. In the end, Inter made a ton of mistakes, but they were, believe it or not, they were worse run before Steven Jang took over. I think that they really hit the low point in the latter Moratti years, which is more than 5 years ago. The problem with Barcelona is sheer scale. And I also think what happened to Barcelona, I think Bartomeu made a bazillion mistakes and he deserves a lot of the bile that gets thrown his way. However, they were hurt by COVID more than anybody else. When you have the Barcelona Museum, that's the second most visited museum in all of Spain, not the second most visited football museum, the second most visited museum after the Prado in Madrid in all of Spain, and you shut that down, that hurts you. When you take it on the chin because you decide to move a lot of your commercial activities in-house, and then all of a sudden COVID hits, well, that's going to hurt you even more. When you got one of the biggest stadiums in Europe, and then all of a sudden COVID hits, that's going to hurt you even more. So all these things piled on top of each other, it's not enough to give them a pass, but I think I can safely say Peter Lim and Valencia still maintain the crown as the worst run out of those three clubs.
It was a good question. Zubaya to Shaka, if you were Messi and Neymar offered you the number 10 shirt, which is reported to have happened, would you accept it or just let it stay with Neymar?
I have no problem accepting it. If I'm Messi and Neymar says you can wear my number 10,
But if he says you can wear it, do you say, all right, or do you say, no, it's okay, mate, you keep it?
I really am not, well, I'm not that bothered about numbers at all, to be honest. So you're asking the wrong man.
Go on, you
Don't even ask me,
I
I can't even less.
What do you say,
Shaka,
Gab?
I'm just laughing because you wore the number 1 shirt most of your career, and when you weren't wearing it, it's because you were a backup and you wouldn't have liked that. So I don't think you necessarily were ever faced by any situation like this, right?
Nope. I wore number 12 when I first joined West Ham, just because it was the lowest number that was available.
There's a couple of things that
I also wore number 35 because I was 35 years old, my last spell at West Ham. That's how much thought goes into my shirt numbers.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't get it so much. It's like, give me 10, give me 9, give me 7, give me...
But you do see players who can't have the number they want, then at least getting the 2 numbers that add up to that number. It does matter to quite a lot of them, doesn't it? But not to you.
You're kind of good at maths for that.
I'm not going to get the number that I want. I'm not going to play.
It's a new generation, Craig. They're all spoiled.
Oh my God.
All right, Gab.
So, you know, it's the same as like club logos. Have you seen the new club logo on the shop? Who cares? Do you think normal people care about this kind of thing? Who are we buying? Who's your manager? Are we going to see entertaining football? Are we going to be successful? Are we going to get to a cup final? Are we going to play in big games? No, we've got a new club logo. It's amazing. Look at it.
Gab, Koulibaly was a defender who was once in serious demand. What has happened to him? Why are there no clubs hunting for his signature this summer?
Well, I just think because, as happens to most people, every year that passes, you're a year older. And, I think now he's 29 years old, right around there. And he still, remember, he had that release clause, which was 80 million. Didn't necessarily have the best of seasons, didn't have a bad season either. And I think the other thing to remember is we're in a market right now where there's very few clubs that can spend even more than 50 or 60 million on a single player. Very, very few clubs. You can probably count them on one hand. And so there's simply less availability. And so guys like Koulibaly end up staying put.
Dan asks, Craig and Shaka, I'll start with you, Shaka. What was the worst excuse one of your former teammates ever made for missing training?
It was easy.
Are you?
Yeah. First, as Priya, when the clocks went back. As Priya could not figure out the clocks for all the time he was at Newcastle. He was late every time the clocks went forward. He was late every single time. It was great. I
can't remember. I'm trying to figure.
That happened with Guti at Real Madrid, but his excuse was the wrong way round because of whatever way the clocks had gone, if I remember rightly.
I can't remember. No, I don't really know of anybody. I know Stephen Mahay got locked in the car at Celtic once. Couldn't get out the car.
That happened.
Who locked him in it?
He was late out for the second half of a game we were playing at St James's Park because he went to the toilet, locked the door, and couldn't reopen it. They had to call the janitorial staff to get him out. He was late out.
We did have a couple of lads at Celtic on quite a regular occasions would be late for training, but because Celtic have built this new multi-purpose training ground in a different place in Glasgow, but and back in the good old days, we used to get changed at Celtic Park every day. So we'd go to the ground every day. We'd go in the home dressing rooms. We'd get changed there, and then we'd get in our cars. So you jump in and say, Shaq, can I jump in your car? Yeah, okay. So 3 or 4 lads would get in, and everybody would drive down to the training ground, which was about a mile down the road at the old training ground. But unfortunately, the police used to sit there quite a lot with their speed guns. So quite often we'd be starting training and the manager would say, where's so-and-so, so-and-so? And then about 15 minutes later you see them running down with a speeding ticket. Bloody cops got me again. But they used to wait on us. And they used to say it was the Rangers supporting ones that used to wait on us. I'm not sure it was.
Well, maybe. I mean, could be definitely some truth in that.
Yeah.
Gab, Luke wants to know where's the best place to ski in Europe?
Ooh.
Just look over Gab's right shoulder. Just look over.
I'll tell you the best place to ski. Anywhere that's not in front of Marcotti.
Thank you.
But coming behind you. Like a steam train.
It all depends what you're into. If you want more of the glamour side, it's Courchevel. If you're old money, Stade. If you're more of a serious skier, a lot of people like Zermatt. We tend to go to the Dolomites, which is in the German-speaking part of Italy, right by the border with Austria. The good thing there is you get kind of Austrian mountains and Austrian ski ethos, but you're still in Italy, so it's still Italian food. So that's highly recommended too.
Gab, I demand a video. Demand a video before your trip's over of you skiing down the mountain.
Yeah, what colour slopes
no
that?
Snow. Sorry.
I want it.
Are you a daredevil, Gab?
No, I don't really ski much anymore.
All right. All
I
right.
get skied.
I've never skied in my
my
life.
knees.
What, does
the
it
knees
go
are,
up and then
no, but
come
the
straight
knees
back
are
down?
like, oh,
I've never skied in my life.
injuries, bad
Serious.
knees.
Proudly.
I don't mind it. All right. Ashish, if Craig ever commentates on a game in which a family member is playing, would he refer to them by their first name or their last name?
No, because I did commentate on Scotland when my uncle George Burley was the manager of the national team, and I was broadcasting in the UK at the time. My dad's brother, so yeah.
And he hammered him. He hammered his dad's brother.
So you weren't calling him
Go on, say
Georgie?
it.
No, I did hammer him, actually, because Scotland were poor and I had a job to do, so. But he knew it was coming.
You didn't call him
So it
Uncle
wasn't a-
George?
it wasn't a
You didn't refer to
surprise.
him as Uncle George?
No Christmas
Uncle
presents
G.
for Craig that year.
Things could have went very wrong one time. We were in North Macedonia. Scotland were playing Macedonia as it was at the time, right? And I was there with Satanta Sports, and we checked into the hotel, and I said, got a room. They said, "What's your name?" I said, "Burley." I said, "Okay, Mr. Burley, yeah, there you go, room whatever it is, blah, blah, blah." So I goes upstairs, gets in the lift, you know what's coming. Gets in the lift, upstairs, third or fourth floor, whatever it is, walking along the corridor, swiped the key, bowled in, and there was my uncle in the room. Fortunately, everything was above board.
I'm glad to
All
hear
I'm
it.
saying is, it could have been a nasty situation.
It could have been.
For who? For who exactly?
I'm not suggesting anything, but
Let's leave it there.
he was fully
Must
clothed.
remember it. Okay, good to hear.
That's true. I went freaking in his room. He come bowling out the bathroom. He went, "What the hell are you doing here?" I said, "What are you doing here? It's my room." I went, "Oh, that's true." Oh my God.
All right, so there is your answer. Craig, even with family,
Yeah.
still would refer to them by their last name, as it should be.
No, the full
professionally.
name.
Full name.
Yeah, George Burley, not George, not
That's what
Ollie.
I'm saying. But then it,
Not Frank.
Just every time he's on the, every time you'd say, but George Burley.
Scotland
not just
manager.
Burley. Okay.
Scotland manager.
You're not going to catch him out on
You
that
can't
one.
be matey. It's not right.
All right, Craigie, we'll leave it there.
Tell
then.
Donny. Donny signed a new contract. Been on Twitter about it. Donny Hutch.
He did. He's let us all know. Anyway, thank you
Yes,
so
Lex.
much for joining us on the latest edition of Extra Time. ESPN FC is available 7 days a week. Make sure to never miss it.